Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our next lesson in Math 20 3. This is lesson 2 for Unit 3 for finance and budgeting. It's a fairly long lesson. I'm going to break it up into a few different videos here. So if you would like, you can just come along with me and we will do a little bit of math or talk about it anyways. Again, this unit is a lot of discussion. There's a little bit of math in this lesson. Um, Next lesson will be a little bit more kind of crunch the numbers heavy. But this one, it's a little bit more discussion related. So let's talk about debit cards. Okay, so debit cards, you probably have one. You get one if you have a bank account at a bank. It can be used for different purposes. There's a variety of purposes here. So you can make deposits or withdrawals. A deposit, of course, is when you put money into the bank. A withdrawal is when you take money out. You can transfer money between accounts at an ATM. So using your debit card, you can put it into an automated teller machine, an ATM, and transfer money between accounts. You can pay bills at any branch of your bank. So if you go into your bank and you want to pay a bill, you just use your debit card, and then you can talk to the teller about how much you want to pay, or you can probably even do that in an ATM these days. You can make purchases anywhere, pretty much. You can pay for services. You can withdraw cash at a store, a restaurant, or a service provider. You might have heard people getting cash back, like at Safeway, for instance. You can ask for cash back, and if you use your debit card, the teller will charge you for $40, say, and they will give you $40 cash. So you can get cash from a teller that way. You can withdraw cash at ATMs worldwide. However, you need to pay additional fees when the ATM is not your own bank's or is in another country. We talked about that a little bit. When it's in another country, you'll also have an exchange rate, which can get quite expensive. So not something I would recommend. I would recommend if you're going to another country to take out a bunch of cash first for that country's currency and have that on hand instead of taking out at an ATM. And finally, you can access your account online or by phone. So if you have a bank card, you can do that fairly easily. So here's an example of some questions that you might find based on this information. So question 1 says, how can you use your debit card number to keep track of your bank account? You can use your debit card number through online banking. You can use it to set up an account, and you can do some online banking. You can you get your account balances at your branch, so that will help you keep track of your account. Example 2, how might using a debit card be better than paying with cash? So instead of using cash, using a debit card, how is that better? Well, there's a number of things we can talk about. The first one, concerns about having large sums of cash on you. So sometimes it's not great if you need to pay for something that costs $1,500 to bring $1,500 of cash on you. Although your debit card will have a limit on how much it can actually charge at any one time. So another thing that is a reason that a debit card is a little bit better than paying with cash is you can access both the checking and the savings account. So you can set up different accounts on your debit card, checking and savings, and you can access both of them. And finally, you might not be worried about having enough cash on you for a purchase. So if you have a debit card, you can access all of the money in your bank, unless, of course, you're I'm so sorry, getting distracted here. My cat just ran into the room. Where was I? So you're not worried about having enough cash on you for a purchase. You can access all of the money in your bank account if you have a debit card, as long as your limit on that debit card is high. Finally, example 3, how might using cash be better than paying with a debit card? Okay, so instead of having a debit card, let's talk about how cash might be better. So you don't get charged each time you use cash. You just have it in your hand and you use it. The fees don't increase depending on where you are. So Some fees at banks are really high for debit cards, but for cash, it's basically the same. You can just take cash out of the bank. You are less likely to overspend. It's a little bit harder to part with cash as it is to tap your debit card or to enter your PIN and to just not even see the money go away. So a lot of people like to use cash because it's a good way to keep track of your budget. Okay, I'm going to stop right there and continue a video in a second.